guy. I'm here with my buddy Derek Sleeps. Derek, I know that you're involved with marketing and Facebook and all kinds of stuff, so I'm excited. Plus, I don't know, we've had about 300, 400, 500 mishaps trying to get this together, so I'm I'm happy that we finally connected up here. So why don't we just start by you just kind of introduce yourself, tell me what you do, how long you've been doing it, just kind of your story.
Yeah. So what I currently do is I help real estate investors, wholesalers, rehabbers with inbound marketing. So, this is setting up a system that's going to work for them to save them time for, getting inbound leads. We do paid traffic campaigns, so Facebook, Google, PPC, CRMs, automations, a lot of that stuff. But for me personally, that's not where that's not the area that I actually started in, in my 20s. My background is mostly in fitness, actually. So I was a gymnast growing up. I was a coach for about a decade, and then I transitioned into teaching myself front and back end web development. I basically spent a year learning how to do, design and build websites, and do the coding and everything.
Wow.
Then I found out about marketing. I basically jumped into that. The first mentor that I had, to learn that, he knew how to do marketing for wholesalers specifically. So I gained a lot of knowledge from him, right? And I had read Rich Dad Poor Dad in college. I had always been interested in investing and, businesses and things like that. So it just seemed like, that's the niche I wanted to focus on. So I just started to work, I basically started getting my own clients there. And, I've been doing that for 3 years now. So I've done this on my own with my own clients. That's what I currently do. I've also worked for other large agencies managing, like 20, 30 of their accounts doing this. That's kind of my background.
Cool. Well, I could see my brain was just going bananas thinking of all the different connections that you and I could make to help each other here. So,
sure.
So we may turn this into multiple calls. But so let me ask you this: from the advertising perspective and the marketing perspective, why should a real estate investor choose to work with you over and above all the other options that they have, out there, including doing nothing? What would the answer be to that?
Sometimes doing nothing is fine. It just depends on where they're at. It depends on where they're at in their business, right? I talk to lots of different people. Some people are ready for inbound marketing. Some people are not quite there yet. But I guess why work with us? I've been doing this for 3 years, so I've got experience. We've got clients. We've got results. I have a system and a process that we follow. And kind of the main thing that I try to communicate to people, number one, is that, we want to kind of take things step by step. So you can implement everything all at once and just, get a system going. But, not everyone wants to just dump tons of money all at the same time into marketing and try everything all at the same time. So, I try to customize it for each person we work with, whether we're going to start with, PPC or Facebook or, but I try to make it sequential. So, we get this set up, we get a system set up so that as the leads are coming in, they can be managed properly. We get an initial, channel going, right? So let's say through Facebook, and we're testing things, right? And when we have, an idea of the quality and the cost of the leads and everything and the campaigns that's going to work, okay, now we test a landing page. Well, now you have a converting landing page. So now maybe we add PPC to that. Like, I try to make it systematic. And so that's how I like to approach it. That's how I like to talk about it, and it set expectations with people. But it saves people from learning time doing it on their own, right? I'm sure a lot of people have heard of Chris Chico. There's other programs.
Chris Chico's the guy. Yeah, I like him.
Yeah, no, he's great. So you can definitely go and get invest into his program and learn it on your own. It just takes time, right? So it's just there's always multiple ways to do things. But if you're looking for someone to manage it long term, that's already been doing it for a while, and just it's just it'll save you some time that would otherwise be spent studying, because there's a bit of a learning curve to running and managing.
Well, sure it is. And the thing that I love about inbound marketing is that most real estate investors, and I don't know what your experience has been with this, but it seems that most of them do cold calling, door knocking, and basically chasing after people who don't want to talk to them. That's been my experience. And so, yes, that can work, and people do make it work. I think it's just very painful. Some people just have a higher tolerance for pain than others. I personally don't. That's why I absolutely love inbound marketing. That's why I love what you're doing. So let me ask you, in terms of just marketing, when real estate investors are looking to bring in new business, what do you find is maybe the biggest, maybe 2-3 mistakes that they make in trying to bring in new deals? What do you find is those things?
You're talking about when they're kind of the biggest mistakes they might make in regards to inbound lead generation specifically?
Well, inbound, or maybe just marketing in general. Yeah. I mean, things that that working with you would solve.
Gotcha. So I mean, number one is you're absolutely right that when you're hunting for leads, you're doing outbound, right? That's outbound. You're looking for them. You're basically starting with a list of people, and you don't know where they're at in terms of their motivation. You don't know where they're at in terms of their situation, right? You have to kind of one by one, either texting, cold calling, whatever your system's set up to do. You're reaching out to them, and then you're having to go through that process. So number one, that's going to take your time primarily, unless you allocate it to someone like a VA, or you set up a system.
Sure.
Which is a lot of people. That's how they get started, right? I think you need outbound.
Absolutely.
As a foundation. You don't want to put all your eggs just into Google or Facebook, and then let's say there's an issue, like, okay, that's the main stream of income for your business. You want to be diversified, right? So I mean, I guess that's one way to think about it, is right. Definitely think of it as diversifying your marketing rather than don't throw all of your eggs into one basket, first of all.
Okay.
But number two is really big is the idea that these leads are raising their hand. Right. So whether it's Facebook, Google, no matter what the motivation is, right? I would say you're going to have more of a spectrum of motivation with Facebook, for example, more so than with Google. Google, they're literally going on a search engine looking for help in that case.
Okay.
But in either case, if they opt into your system, they've raised their hand. So right from the beginning, the positioning there is a little bit easier to work with. As you're talking to these leads, right? As you're following up with them. I would say one thing is that the follow up is really, really important, though.
Okay.
Any kind of inbound lead generation, being quick to follow up with leads, and then long term consistent follow up as well, because there's you could be getting leads in, and you get on a call with them, or even if you don't initially at first, and they may not convert right in that first month or two, but down the road, if you continue to follow up with them, those can convert later on. And so that's, I think, a lot of the that's like one of the main things that needs to be kind of taken care of.
Okay.
And so with the system we set up, we try to automate it and help fix a lot of the initial follow up there.
Okay.
I've got partnerships and stuff as well with people that help with the that do help with the long-term follow-up as well. But I would say that's another really big area that people that are maybe just getting started need to really pay attention to.
Okay. So sounds like they're focusing maybe too much on outbound instead of inbound, so they're not really positioning, don't have the benefit that the positioning brings. Sounds like I was just trying to take notes while you're saying that. Okay. So follow-up is key. Yep. Also, and maybe they don't follow up as well, which I know a lot of real estate investors are more focused on today. They just like, if the deal comes, they want to close it. Now they forget all about the marketing, and now they, run through the money, and now they got to start all over again. So it's kind of a vicious, that vicious cycle. So the follow-up system, and I think the key word there is system, a systematic approach, would solve that problem. And what do you think is another maybe big issue that they're dealing with?
Well, with someone, let's say that someone tries to start doing inbound marketing on their own. And I think maybe the learning curve for Facebook is a little bit lower than I think PPC is a little bit higher learning curve. So let's say that they start with Facebook ads. And the main issue there is that, understanding the difference between those two platforms when you're starting marketing. Understanding why the budgets are different, understanding how, the psychology behind those two platforms. Because like I said before, one is you're dealing with a search engine, so those leads are going to be higher intent, easier to get a hold of, but they also cost a lot more, right? There's a reason why.
Okay.
Whereas with Facebook, you're dealing with a social media platform. So I think when people try to run ads on their own, especially with Facebook, they can get an ad going. They can get leads in. But it's really about understanding, like, okay, how do you optimize long term? How do you qualify the leads, especially at the beginning? And like, how do you go from having casting a wide net at the beginning and then narrowing that down over time to qualify more and more? That's I think where a lot of people might be missing that. Like, because if you don't put friction, you're going to get all kinds of people clicking through your ad, right? You've got to put some qualification and walls up, because otherwise, Facebook runs on an algorithm. If you're getting buyers and renters or people that are confused clicking through your ad, well, Facebook thinks it's doing a good job. It's getting you leads, and it's going to try to optimize for those kind of people more over time. So then there's just things like that, right? Ad fatigue, when a campaign starts to slow down, you need to know how to keep it going. How do you optimize it long term? How do you continue testing and to see what's working, what's not? So there's an experience aspect that comes with that, right? Just kind of knowing, understanding how the ads work. But I would say that's kind of the third category, just kind of understanding maybe the difference between those two and how to qualify properly.
Sure, that makes sense, because people, I think, with all the different, lots of courses out there, a lot of quote unquote experts and gurus out there, they make it maybe sound too easy, just $5 a day, $3 a day, $2 a day, which is probably true and can be true with Facebook. But I mean, if you don't have the knowledge and, like you said, maybe understand the psychology behind it, you're not really effectively using that tool. It's a great tool, but if you don't really know how to use it effectively, then you're really just wasting time and money. Right, get frustrated and burned out, etc.
Well,
would you agree with that?
Yeah. Well, and the thing is, like, that's absolutely true. Like, if you wanted, you could set up a campaign on Facebook for $5 a day. You can purchase a course. You can research on YouTube. You can do whatever you need to do to learn how to put that together. You can even go into the Facebook ads library and look at what other people are doing. You can copy paste, and you can run an ad at $5 a day. The difference is the time that it's going to take you to learn that, right? And then are you going to have time to be in the account checking it every day? Are you going to be doing the optimizations? And what are you going to do when that campaign burns out and it's not getting results anymore? Like, there's a lot more just behind kind of setting it and just letting it run. So this is why it really does depend where someone is in their business. How much of a marketing budget do they have, right?
Well, sure. You know what I love about that? It's interesting because it's the same. It's like the old adage where you call the plumber or the heating guy. He comes in your basement, grabs a hammer, whacks on the water heater, boom, everything starts working again. Yeah. It's like, well, it took 5 minutes. Why owe you, $500 or whatever it is? But it's like the knowledge of knowing where to whack the hammer. So it's like, knowing the intricacies and like you said, the psychology. I love that word, the psychology behind why it works and what you need to do next. And I mean, so all that's important. So and so you're saying that that's all of the stuff that they're getting when they hire you, basically, to get your knowledge and your skill. And so what do you think is a good just roughly a good follow-up system? I mean, like, how many times should they follow up? How long? What's the expectation? What should they be thinking?
Yeah, I mean, so what we help set up is the initial follow-up, and then we have other campaigns and stuff. So, depending on the situation with the lead, they can drag and drop to certain aspects of the parts of the pipeline, and it'll put them on certain sequences to help take that burden off. But for someone that's like, okay, well, what is the best practices for following up with inbound lead generation would be, so what I tell people, there's actually several different points we can make here. Number one is you want to follow up as fast as possible. Within normal daytime hours, of course. So I've heard of like the 2-minute rule, the 5-minute rule, and the 15-minute rule. It's all kind of the same thing, just as soon as you can. But that kind of like time window is really important for inbound leads for that first initial call. So this is why we make sure we get at least a text out and a ringless voicemail out pretty soon after they first come through. To illustrate this. And I've brought this up in the past, I think, talking to other people, but I used to work with a company out of Philly. They were doing campaigns out of Philly and South Jersey. We did Facebook. We also did PPC. They were finding PPC worked better for their market at that time. But this was a larger company, larger operations. So they had acquisitions people for the daytime, and they had acquisitions team members for the night, like the nighttime hours. So if a PPC lead came through at 2:30 in the morning, they would call. They'd call them 2 minutes later. I'm not even joking. Wow. They'd be on the phone with them 2 minutes later, and the reason they do that is because that lead in that moment, their mind's on their problem. They're looking for help. And they most likely might have put their information into a couple other websites, not just theirs, right?
Right.
They may be looking for multiple offers. So by getting on the phone with them right then and there when their attention is on what they're doing, it's easier to make that initial first contact. And number two, they're establishing that relationship before anybody else does. So
and they probably weren't expecting that call either. I mean, so they got them. You know what I mean?
Probably
got
not.
the full attention. Yeah. But anyway, yes.
I don't tell my clients or other people necessarily to do this. That's just what they do, right? Whatever you do, make sure it's legal, right?
Right.
But there's a reason that was effective for them.
Yeah. Sure. Okay.
So fast follow up, but then long term follow up, right? A lot of I hear this all the time when I talk to wholesalers or investors on the phone. You know, they're basically saying like, you know, we've got a bunch of leads we did from XYZ and now they're kind of just falling through the cracks. Like, you know, maybe they're not ready for more inbound leads because the leads that they're already doing from outbound, whatever their, you know, system they already have going, they know that they're missing out on deals because they just didn't do the follow up, or, you know, their system needs, you know, some holes being plugged. So having that long-term follow-up is also really important. And you're going to see with Facebook, that's going to be a little bit more important, I think, than with Google. But whatever inbound lead generation you're doing, it's a huge piece. So consistent, so quick follow-up at the beginning, consistent follow-up, you know, from that point onward. I like to say, you know, call every day for the first 10 days. If you can, right? If you have the team members to do that, call at different times during the day. Not everyone's going to answer the phone. Like they might have been putting their information in, and then they got to, you know, they're at work or who knows. Like, call, and maybe if they don't pick up, don't leave your message on the first call. Like, you know, call maybe a second time, then leave your message, because sometimes people will assume it's spam right off the bat. Gosh, what's another? One other thing I like to tell people is basically, imagine if you put your information in to opt into something, and you start receiving, you know, email, text, calls, whatever, imagine what would be annoying to you. And now double that. That's basically what you want to be doing for inbound lead generation. That's another good. So it is a good illustration. Yeah. It does seem like, okay, maybe that's a bit excessive, but really I think it's effective. Like I used to I've helped I was working with a lady down in Texas. She's a social media manager on a wholesaling team down there. And they basically said that their first week, when they get a lead come in, they call it Hell Week. Because they're going to basically make that lead, which they had never opted into their system. They're going to be getting so much follow-up from them. Right. They almost want to make that lead regret that they ever got in contact with them. It's like, but it's effective. It works.
I was going to ask, is that effective? That's hilarious. It is so can you tell me? And I just want a couple of questions here. Can you tell me like a success story, something that maybe sticks out of your mind of one of your clients that you did for him that worked really well?
Yeah, I've got several. So I've got a current client. I've been working with him about 4 months. And you know, he's got 8 properties under contract already. We've spent about $5,500 on ads, I think. So that's huge. Going great for him. That's like $700 per contract. He's doing statewide across 4 different states. I've got, you know, I had another client that did Facebook ads, and I think he got like a $15,000 return out of the leads we just generated in like the first month. Now you don't always see immediate results like this. This is why you know, I tell people, like, have a quarterly mindset about marketing. At least have a quarterly mindset about it if you're gonna do it. But you know, I was helping another team, and they were doing ads out of Battle Creek, Michigan, and basically within 3 weeks of implementing what I told them to do, and with their Facebook campaign, they got a property under contract that ended up closing for like a 6x return on their ad spend. You know, so what we're aiming for is anywhere between like a 5 to 10x return is great for inbound marketing. That's what we generally aim for. But you know, the average time from contract to close alone for a wholesale deal is like 30 days. So, you know, I always tell people to have that kind of expectation about, you know, the time it takes to really see those KPIs. And then, but yeah, I mean, that's just some examples. You know, we've gotten great results for PPC that's huge, as well. Man. But,
that's fantastic. So how can people connect up with you, man? What's the best way to reach out to you?
Yeah, so I mean, I'm on Facebook, I'm on Instagram, I'm starting up, trying to get started some TikTok stuff going, but basically I've got a link in my bio on Facebook. I can send you the link to, it's basically my landing page. Yes. I've got a Calendly link, but you can always reach out to me and just message me directly on Facebook or Instagram. And then, you can also book directly on my calendar. Okay. There's a link to that on my website as well, so.
Nice. Well, listen, Derek, man, you're doing great things. I like I said, I would love to connect. I can think of a lot of ways that we might be able to work together. I've got some courses that I'm going to be launching that I might need some help. I mean, I provide a lot of information, but I'd love to connect with people like you that can actually help with to take maybe to the next step. If people want to start to have someone manage their, like you said, their campaigns and that kind of thing. And plus, like I said to you earlier, I think you're frozen. Did you?
Can you hear me?
Uh-oh.
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, you got, okay. Stuck there for a minute there. I see you now. Anyway, I was just rambling. I mean, I think that I appreciate your time. I can see tons of value that you offer to people. I'm glad that we connected, and I would love to refer you to as many people as possible. So let's stay in touch, and I would love to maybe do some other calls, maybe on some specific kinds of things, because obviously you guys, like you said, you work with a lot of different channels, and even what you said here was super valuable. So I appreciate it, and so let's talk again real soon, okay?
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. Thanks so much.
Okay.
I'm totally happy to be here, so.